Today in Getting Real with the Housewives, Vicki Gunvalson slams Nick Viall in a hot mic moment as Shannon Beador reacts to John Jansen's tell-all. Plus, Teddi Mellencamp shoots her shot with Kevin Costner as Crystal Minkoff puts her on blast for not talking about her split. And Kelly Bensimon and Bethenny Frankel dated the same guy as Bethenny shoots down engagement rumors. And Meredith Marks reveals she has talked to Jen Shah as Heather Gay opens up to us about her infamous black eye.
I had a lot of behavior that I had to answer for in terms of my relationship with Jen, and I'm still figuring it out. You know, this is just step 2 and the 7th step, processes of grief or whatever.
We've got that plus so much more in today's Getting Real with the Housewives. Hey everyone, and welcome to Getting Real with the Housewives. We have a ton of news to get to this week, so let's get right to it, starting with Vicki Gunvalson. So she was caught on a hot mic moment bad-mouthing Nick Viall after she recorded his Viall Files podcast by FaceTiming from the sandy shores of Mexico. She ended the call with a okay, bye-bye, but was still on the line. Take a look at this.
That was a favor to her dad. He's got 7 million. This Viall, Nick Viall, I've never heard of him.
I am at a loss for words.
Vicki, you're calling from the beach.
You guys owe me on this one.
We owe you?
So it seemed like Nick was a bit more relaxed about Vicki's remarks, although he did admit that he had no breath flowing through him after the hot mic surprise. I mean, this really comes as no surprise when it comes to Vicki. She has given us tons and tons of moments, but, I'm sure this was a cringe for her, or maybe she just doesn't even care, considering she was doing this as a favor. Gotta love Vicki, gotta love it. All right, moving on to Kelly Bensimon. She claims that she was talking to a man on a dating app before realizing he was actually Bethenny Frankel's boyfriend. She told Page 6, I see this one guy, and I was like, oh, he's kind of cute. He lives in California, and I was like, wow, what is he doing here? He's like, let's talk, let's meet. Well, she alleged that she was texting with the man who she referred to only as Tom. They did not meet in person, however, for any sort of date. So after spending Labor Day weekend in the Hamptons, Kelly said her friend sent her an article. It says Bethenny Frankel is dating this guy. So the article in question featured Bethenny and a man named Tom Vellante holding hands after enjoying a dinner at Giorgio Baldi, an Italian restaurant in Santa Monica, California. Well, 1 month later, the pair continued to fuel romance rumors when they were photographed with Jay Cutler and Samantha Robertson at the New York City premiere of Yellowstone. So the pair ultimately went Instagram official just days before the Thanksgiving holiday, but that Tom in question was the one that Kelly Bensimon was speaking with. So very strange world. I think they met on Raya, so that's a very, exclusive dating app, but guess Tom found his new Roni, the Roni he was meant to be with, but not engaged quite yet, because a lot of people were questioning whether or not Bethenny got engaged to her boyfriend Tom, but turns out marriage is not on the radar for her. So she told, a source told Us Weekly that Bethenny spent Thanksgiving in Miami with Brynn and cherishes their bonding time during the holidays. She is thriving in her adventure era. While the mother-daughter duo did enjoy their beachy holiday, she was photographed rocking this diamond ring on her ring finger. Well, she further went on to explain on TikTok, saying this is what they call a flexible diamond ring, and it's impossible to be sized, so it only fits on this hand. She explained that her decision to wear the ring was her choice, and she wasn't going to let anyone else prevent her from doing what she wanted. She added, if I want to wear a ring on my belly, on my teeth, on my toe, on my nose, I'll do it. So until further notice, I'm engaged to my daughter and myself. I don't know why really people thought that this was an engagement ring. It didn't really look like an engagement ring at all. And I feel like if Bethenny is going to be wearing an engagement ring, it's not going to look like that. It's going to be over the top big and beautiful, just like this ring, but not an engagement ring. I don't think she's rushing down the aisle anytime soon. All right, well, Teddi Mellencamp has her eye on Kevin Costner following her divorce from Edwin. During a November episode of the Two Teas in a Pod podcast, co-host Tamara Judge joked that Ted was free for Kevin. She said, Kevin, if you're listening, my Instagram name is @Teddi Mellencamp. After Page 6 published an article with the quotes in November, Teddi took to her social media to react to the headline. She said, gonna binge Yellowstone just in case Kevin Costner reads Page 6. And this was alongside a very sultry selfie. So as we know, Kevin has been single from his messy divorce from Christine Baumgartner back in 2023. As we know, Teddi filed for her own divorce from Edwin after 13 years of marriage last month. So, Teddy's out there shooting her shot. We had Sutton Strack saying that Kyle Richards was interested in Kevin Costner. I guess he's very popular and a hot guy on the market, but not sure if Kevin Costner is going to be gracing our Beverly Hills housewife screens anytime soon. All right, well, keeping on Beverly Hills, and Crystal Minkoff had some choice words about Teddi Mellencamp's public comments about her divorce. She told us, I don't think it's a requirement for a podcast to be open and vulnerable. Every podcast is different. But do I think Teddi should be required? Yes. While Crystal has compassion and empathy for Teddy's children, she remembers her former Bravo co-star speaking freely about other people's relationship struggles over the years. She added, I think if Teddy's going to come after everybody, she should open up more. My thing is, I don't really care personally, but I don't do that to people. That's not expected of me. I am super honest and open in general. Now, in a previous podcast episode, Teddi acknowledged that she often talks about other people's lives, and at the same time, she planned to keep the discussion of her own split to a minimum because of her children. She said Crystal said being somebody who recaps other people's things, it's like, don't be a hypocrite, Teddi. But when it does come to this and children, I think there's just room. It's a little bit different than getting into Jen Aiden Reveal's text exchange with Andy Cohen. While I do agree with that, Teddi has, talked about other people's splits on her podcast, and I think has been open about that. So, it's kind of hard when you're talking about other people's relationships and you don't talk about your own. But I do understand there are children involved. They're a little bit older. They can listen to this. So it's got to be a very tough situation to navigate about how much you talk about and how little you talk about to also please your fans. So I'm sure it's a very trying time for everybody. So hopefully they navigate it through and have a amicable split. All right. Well, this was not an amicable split at all. Shannon Beador, I was responding to John Jansen's interview that he did with Entertainment Tonight. Now, she told Jeff Lewis, I don't care. Do your interview, whatever you need to say, and then go away. I paid you your money. Go away. I don't want to talk about you anymore. As I said, he sat down with Entertainment Tonight after the OC three-part reunion to discuss some various storylines and the $75,000 lawsuit he filed against his ex. As we know, they later and recently just settled for $60,000. He said there was so much out there that was inaccurate and that the final reunion scene kind of capped that off, and that made my decision then. I have to talk and just set the record straight. I'm doing this for me and for setting the record straight for the truth, so I'm speaking to that portion of the audience that wants to hear the truth and wants to be reasonable to me, and then once I talk, I'm done. Well, Shannon told Jeff she had yet to listen to the interview. She quickly clarified one allegation from John's fiancée, Alexis Bellino. Now, after Bellino alleged via Instagram that John gave Shannon a discount by agreeing to a $60,000 settlement, Shannon said she wasn't going to pay $1 more. She said his attorney said, can she just go up a couple grand? I go, listen, it's $60,000. If he doesn't take that, I'll see him in court. Hopefully we can all move on for this. I'm sure Shannon is so sick and tired of talking about John Jansen, as I know I am, so I can't imagine how she feels. I feel like we probably won't see John and Alexis back next season. I just don't see how it really fits. It did not go well for them at all. And I think that people have completely taken Shannon's side at all of this. Let me know in the comments if you agree. But it seems like this might be the last time we talk about John Jansen. Fingers crossed. All right. Well, Dolores Catania is ready to welcome any past cast member back to the Real Housewives of New Jersey. She told us if we are going to mix this up a little bit or at all, I would take anybody who has been on the show in the past, and I mean anybody. The future of New Jersey, especially when it comes to which housewives are returning, is still up in the air following the season 14 finale earlier this year. She said to Us Weekly, I'm a realistic pessimist, so I'm just being very Italian and being like, it's over, it's done. But I say that every year. Every year I thought I was never coming back. That's just me being, if you want to say humble, if that's how you want to call it, or not taking it for granted. She added, I think everybody feels the same way I do. We know we haven't heard anything, but we haven't heard a final no. Trying to think of who I would want back. I mean, Caroline Manzo is obviously an obvious choice, but considering what happened with the Legacy show, I don't think that she's probably ever going to grace our screens ever again, or the Ultimate Girls Trip, excuse me, since we've never even seen that. I don't think Dina would be coming back as well. Jacqueline, maybe, but she lives out in Las Vegas. So there's a lot of things up in the air right now, and who knows, they might just get a complete reboot like we saw with Roni. So I don't know. All right, moving on over to Salt Lake City, and Meredith Marks is still in contact with Jen Shah. Didn't see this coming. While appearing on Watch What Happens Live, she confirmed that she recently had a phone conversation with Jen, who was, of course, serving time in prison. Meredith told Andy, Jen called me a few weeks ago from prison, and it's my first call from a federal penitentiary. She told me I could check it off my bucket list, and she sounds great. According to Meredith, she and Jen had a quick call that lasted only about 10 minutes. And she said it recorded and it gets cut off, but she sounds like she's doing very well. So there you have it, the little update on Jen Shah. Well, Heather Gay offered more details about her infamous Salt Lake City black eye, which is, of course, was given to her by Jen in her newly released book, Good Time Girl. Heather spoke to us about it, and she also spoke about writing about Monica Garcia and in the book as well. So here's what she had to say.
You know, I wrote the Monica chapter as just kind of a true crime, like titillating story. You know, I wanted to honor the true crime podcasts that I listen to and the shows that I watch and kind of let it unfold the way we experienced it. So I wasn't really thinking about that as much, about my relationship or my dynamic, as much as just let's tell the behind the scenes dirty details of reality Von Tease and everything that happened with it. But with the Jen chapter, it was obviously much more reflective, and I had more history with Jen, and I had a lot of behavior that I had to like answer for in terms of my relationship with Jen, and I'm still figuring it out. You know, this is just like step 2 and like the 7th step, you know, processes of grief or whatever. But I felt like the readers deserved to hear about it, and it helped me to understand, you know, everything that went down with the black eye and with Jen by writing about it. I guess writing is my own version of processing it and figuring it out. And so I'm hoping that I can write in a way that's entertaining and titillating for the readers, because it's really the process that I love doing the most, that I work through all of my stuff with.
All right, well, make sure you pick up the latest from Heather Gay. All right, well, that is it for this week's episode of Getting Real with the Housewives. Let me know in the comments who you would like to see come back to Jersey, because there's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to the Jersey Housewives. All right, keep commenting, keep subscribing, and I'll see you next week.